Now, a significant reboot, that's what's needed for the future of funding for arts and culture in Birmingham, according to a report out today. It's calling on greater collaboration and investment by businesses and universities, as many cultural institutions struggle with funding after years of cuts by local government.
Around 65,000 people are employed in the sector in the Midlands, but without reform, it's feared a lack of funding could put the region's world-class culture at risk. Chris Halpin reports in the second part of our special series, Culture Shock, the future of our arts.
In an ever-changing financial landscape, many organisations like the Midlands Arts Centre in Birmingham's Cannon Hill Park are trying to control their own future. With teaching courses oversubscribed, it's planning to expand. And after digitally developing its cinema, offering conference venue hire and investing in the cafe, it's generating more income. Although they admit they haven't got it completely cracked, they're moulding their own future by developing new income streams.
We're constantly looking forward. So at the moment, we're anticipating that local authority funding will all but disappear before the end of this decade. But actually we raise a lot of funding from other sources. So for instance, we deliver services in relation to looked after children. We deliver services in relation to mental health. That's public funding. It's coming through a different route. It's not revolution, it's evolution.
And today, that funding evolution was set out in a new report led by Birmingham Business. It makes nearly 50 suggestions on how arts and cultural venues can unlock cash, including taking loans from businesses, borrowing on buildings, tax breaks, through to more radical ideas like Dragon's Den-style pitches for particular money-making ideas or putting a culture levy on hotel rooms. But the main message is clear. More collaboration.
This inquiry is very, very important because if we are to sustain investment into the arts and cultural sector in this city, then we need to be working ever closer with business, with the higher education sector, in order to ensure that we come up with the solutions that will allow arts and culture to thrive and continue to be funded.
Birmingham City Council, the Arts Council and organisations themselves have all had a hand in the report, with new group Culture Central taking the leading role. So a levy on hotel rooms, Dragon's Den-style pitches for arts groups. Do you not think this paints a bit of a desperate picture for arts funding in our city?
I actually think it's the opposite. I think these are all about opportunities. It's about a new way of thinking. We know that certainly sort of the local government situation and funding is changing. And what we've got to do, I think, is seize the opportunity now and not just look to replace that money, but look to how do we grow that? How do we really set some big ambitious targets here in Birmingham and look to not just sort of do what we've been doing, but how do we take the cultural sector on further?
Some might see this as commercialisation of our arts. Do you think that if they've got to return an investment to a business that they might be less challenging with what they put on?
I mean, I think keeping the sort of creative spark is absolutely essential. I mean, and we accept that and we welcome that. That's what makes our sort of culture so wonderful, is the fact that it is challenging and people are able to sort of push the boundaries. So we're not really trying to sort of change the model in that way. We're just trying to say, how do we shift where the whole sort of cake, where all of the funding comes from.
And while funding falls, record numbers of tourists are heading to the second city, with more than 38 million visitors last year. Future tourism essential, says the chief executive of the Birmingham Hippodrome.
We have an incredible cultural offer here. We have a cultural offer that people travel miles to come and see. It's a great driver of cultural tourism. And it's very important that we recognise it, that what culture is doing for the city in terms of making it a better place to live, to work, to invest or to study.
Back at the Mac, the message is one of pure positivity.
We've got real world class arts in this city and in this region. I think it's unthinkable that they will not survive. I'm really positive about the future. I'm not saying it's not going to be without challenge, but I think there might be a bit of shape changing over the next decade, but there would be anyway.
So as the business, higher education and arts sectors all join forces, the hope is after years of council cuts, culture in the Midlands can compose a new way to fund its future. Chris Halpin, ITV News, Birmingham.
And tomorrow we'll have the last in this special series, and we'll be looking at how our largest cultural institutions are funded and those frustrated by the level of investment in London compared with the Midlands. That's Culture Shock, the future of our arts, tomorrow at 6 o'clock on the programme.
Now, let's get some sport.